Hello, 4B. It's me again, unfortunately on the screen. I'm so sorry to not be with you today. I'm really desperate to be back in with you, and I'm keeping everything crossed that tomorrow I will be back in school with you. So keep everything crossed too, and hopefully we'll all be back together tomorrow. So obviously I'm not here. So that means that you are being looked after by the wonderful Mrs. Shuard and the wonderful Mrs. B, who have been holding the fort for me. Thank you so much. They are brilliant. I hope that you guys are listening to them and being the wonderful 4B that I know that you can be. Please do me proud so that when I come in tomorrow, the first thing they can say to me is, do you know what? 4B were absolutely amazing. That's what would really make my week. And trust me, my week needs picking up. So that would be really good. Okay, so I am hoping that whilst I'm not with you today, that you are going to do at least these three things, if not even some more wonderful things than this. One of those things is that I want you to be being respectful to every adult who is in your room today. You need to be listening to them and showing them that they deserve the same respect as any other adult in school. There are certain people that I know that I'm looking at and thinking about. I want to hear how wonderful you've been, because you can be absolutely amazing. I want to hear that you have all been listening. If any adult asks you to be quiet and listen, that is what you need to do. I want to hear that you've all been listening to the instructions and finishing the work to the best of your ability today. That would make me really happy. And the last thing that I definitely need you to be doing today is being kind. Our advent calendar is all about being kind, and I'm really looking forward to hearing about all the wonderful kind tasks you've been doing whilst I haven't been with you. So please be kind to all the adults, and please be kind to each other. All of us in 4B have said how happy we are when you are kind to each other, and that's what I want to hear you have been doing today. Okay, so hopefully with a respectful, listening, kind 4B, today's work is going to be absolutely amazing. And I know it will be, because you can totally do it. 4B is awesome. So I can't wait to hear how you've got on. So today I'm here to tell you about your English, what you're going to be doing. Yesterday with Mrs. Humphrey, you planned your suspense story. You planned it on those lovely boxes where you've got everything boxed up, ready to write it up. And I've seen lots of photographs that Mrs. Humphrey has sent me of all your wonderful work. So I'm going to be sharing some of that in a few moments' time. So I know that you've been planning your suspense story, and I know that what we need to be including today is that we need to be including information about our main characters. We need to take them from a safe place to something that they are more afraid of. This definitely makes me think of Varjakpur, when he was nice and safe in the Contessa's house and he's been led out into the city, and even more so when he ends up down that alleyway with Sally Bones and Razor, definitely leading them somewhere scary. We're going to include a detailed description of the weather and the time of day. Do you remember when we had that fronted adverbials lesson in school, and we talked about maybe using the fronted adverbial underneath the streetlight, comma, would definitely tell me where I was and the time of day, that it would be dark perhaps. Maybe it might be at the stroke of midnight, comma. That would definitely again tell me those things about the time of day. If you want to add that to your plan, maybe you could do that now. We're going to be including how they would be feeling and what they would see and hear and feel. Hopefully that was all on your plan yesterday. Now, you notice at the top of my slide here, above my head, I've put a picture of Sally Bones from Varjakpur. I've put her in here because I think she adds so much suspense to the story. She's also sat in our setting because she's sat in the city. Those white dots behind her are the lights in the skyscrapers or the buildings behind her, and it definitely adds to the atmosphere. The fact that it's dark and the lights have to be on makes it even more scary, a bit more like more full of suspense. So you had a suspense, this is a suspense story checklist. I'm hoping you had it with you yesterday. If not, it's been shared with you as our toolkit that we've been using for our writing. So I've copied it and put it on my slide so I can show you that this is what I'm looking for from your work today. So you've got a copy of this, hopefully, and you're going to tick when you have done these things in your writing at the end when you've finished. So the first one says the threat needs to get closer and closer. So if you do that in your writing at the end, you're going to be able to give it a tick. Punchy sentences for drama, it says here. So nice, short, sharp sentences. That would be really nice. to add some extra suspense to your story. Rhetorical questions, and I've got an example here. It says, who turned out the light? Nice. Asking questions of the reader starting to think, and the reader starting to worry and think about what could happen next. Empty words to hide the threat, such as something, somebody, so I don't know who it is or what it is, or a silhouette. I love the idea of a silhouette. A silhouette being just the outline of a body. It could even be a shadow, perhaps, where you really can't work out what's going on. It's all moving in a very dark way. Fronted adverbials, like I've already said, and the example I've put on here is totally overwhelmed, but I did just say about under the street light or at the stroke of midnight. Nice ones that you could include. Similes, and underneath it says as, because when we use a simile, we're saying something is like something or as something, aren't we? An expanded noun phrase, and the example we've got here is the tired, crumbling manner, but I've got some more examples to show you in a moment. And including some dialogue. And I saw on lots of people's plans yesterday that we had got lots of dialogue happening, which really adds to our information about our characters and helps us to know what's going on. It also helps us to know how they're feeling, because they might be asking questions and sounding quite worried in the dialogue that you've written. So here is some work from yesterday. This is Ivy's work, which I think is amazing. She's included really wonderful dialogue here. So hopefully you can see it, but I'll give it a little read. It says, help, someone, help. Are you there? Yelled James. And then she's got this wonderful rhetorical question that Mrs. Humphrey has underlined in green that says, what happened next? ? Which is really nice. One thing that Ivy needs to think about, though, which might be the same for other people, is making sure that her work starts with a fronted adverbial from that first box there. It says start with a fronted adverbial, and Mrs. Humphrey has said that she needs to choose one to start her story. So she might want to steal my at the stroke of midnight idea if that fits her story, for example. The next person who's done a really good job is Urvashi. Well done. She's got a lovely plan here with loads of great information. I love that she's corrected her I's. That's really important. A capital I is very important if you're writing I. It doesn't have a little football above it and a baby I. I know sometimes people think it looks cute, but it's not correct. So it needs to be a capital I. So she started her work with a wonderful fronted adverbial that says in the afternoon, which is great because it gives me an idea of the time of day for her story. She's also put in a lovely rhetorical question at the end here. Next time she would be ready, or would she? Really like that. A lovely way to end her story. One thing she needs to think about, though, is if she's doing her dialogue, she needs to make sure that she's put in her speech marks correctly around the things that the people are saying. Nobody says he shouted or she shouted. It said it's the other things that we need to put the speech marks around. The next person who's done a really lovely job is Isabel. So I really liked Isabel's work. She's got a fronted adverbial at the start of her plan where she says slowly, and her character is called Midnight. It's not set at midnight, but slowly is a great fronted adverbial. There's lots of green on this plan, which is great. I then really liked her expanded noun phrase where she said cold, rusty iron gates. Really nice. I think that adds extra description to her writing, and that's the one thing I think that Isabel needs to work on even more today, is putting in even more description in her writing. That's actually also what Mrs. Humphrey has written in the margin, that she needs to get all those wonderful adjectives that we know all of you can use into her writing. My favourite part is right at the end where it says in the blink of an eye. Lovely phrase. If anyone wants to magpie that, I am sure Isabel is going to allow everybody to steal that from her because it's a brilliant piece of writing. So well done to those three. Some really nice ideas. So today, everyone needs to remember to include some similes. Mrs. Humphrey said quite a few people were forgetting to do that. So a simile is on our tick sheet. It needs to happen. You need to include a fronted adverbial at your start, which we've just talked about. It's in that first box. You need to use lots of description. I know from last half term's work and this half term's work, that you guys can use wonderful adjectives. So please make sure that you're using wonderful adjectives today in your writing, because you can do it. Even if you need to steal some from our magpie board at the front of our classroom, please do, because we've got some great ideas up there that you could use perhaps to describe some of your characters. And the fourth one I've written is follow your plan, which might sound really obvious, but sometimes when people start writing, they get on such a flow, they completely forget that yesterday they made all these wonderful ideas. So it's very important to keep checking back to your plan and checking back to your tick list to make sure that you're doing both of those things that you are meant to be doing whilst you're writing. And actually, I could probably put a fifth thing on here, and that would be, once I've written my sentence, please reread my sentence to check it says what I think it says. Oh my goodness, how often is it our pencil moves quicker than our brain? And actually, what we thought we'd written wasn't actually what's written there at all. So to finish off, I've got some modelled writing here that I'm pretty sure Mrs. Humphrey may have shared with you yesterday. It's got some nice ideas. Maybe if you want to listen to me read it, you might want to steal a few and shove them on your plan as a last minute idea. So Lila had always been afraid of the graveyard. Stepping out into the cold, clear night, some really nice extra description in there. It's not just a night. She didn't just step outside. It was a cold, clear night. Lila shivered and eyed the rusted padlock gates. Eric strode forward, teasing, "Keep up if you dare." The graveyard was the quickest route, and Eric was rapidly disappearing through the shadows. He wasn't just disappearing, he was rapidly disappearing. Extra detail, more description. He was rapidly disappearing through the shadows, leaving his sister all alone as usual. Using just her phone's light for guidance, Lila followed and also squeezed through the iron gates. Not just gates, iron gates. Silence crawled over the graveyard. Ooh, that's nice. That's a bit of personification. She traced her hand along the stone carvings of the ancient angels. Not just angels, ancient ones. Really important to have all that extra words in there for that description. Okay, 4B. Hopefully everybody knows what they need to do. Everyone's got their plan in front of them. Hopefully you've got your tick sheet too. It's your chance to write your story today. We've been building on this for weeks, so I know loads of people have got some wonderful ideas. Don't let your pencil go too quickly before you've finished writing. That would be my massive piece of advice to you. Okay, good luck, guys.